4 kids, 2 survival jobs, and still no decent place to rent. That's not even the worst of it. CBC recently reported that some female international students are being offered rooms for sex because most of them can't find or afford housing. Welcome to Canada housing crisis. Now imagine arriving in Canada with your whole family, kids, bags, hope, but nowhere to stay except maybe a temporary Airbnb, which is not cheap. Even though Canada welcomes newcomers, the real question is, can the newcomers actually find decent place to stay when they arrive? Because it's one thing to be told you are welcome here. It's another thing to find decent accommodation and convert Naira to Canadian dollars to pay for rent. Canada just elected a new prime minister, but during the campaigns, affordable housing was one of the biggest topics that was covered. They talked about affordability, supply, and how hard it is for Canadians to find affordable housing.
We will axe the tax so that every Canadian can buy a new home tax-free.
On housing, with a new approach to build faster, build smarter, and to build more affordably.
But here's what most people don't talk about. If locals are struggling, what chance do newcomers really have? Because when you land in Canada, you're not just competing for jobs. You are competing for housing with locals that have been here. You've got no rental history, credit score, and most times, very few people will be willing to take a chance on you. Even some decent listings won't reply if your number is not local. And if you mention you are new, they politely ghost you. So for many families, it's either they stay in Airbnb for months, which is not sustainable, or cram into some kind tight spaces, or rent places that does not meet their standard on a good day, just to have somewhere to put their head. All while hearing, "Welcome to Canada." You arrive in Canada legally, you follow the process, you are ready to work, to contribute, to settle down. Your friends and families back home, they are giving testimonies on your behalf. They think you are lucky. The hard part is over. You finally made it. But here's what they don't see. You're standing in front of a listing you can't even apply for because you have 4 children. Across Canada, families are being filtered out when it comes to housing. Not for bad credit or bad behavior, but for being too many. You would think having a big family just means needing more space. It should be that simple, Abby, but it's not. 4 kids, 5, You are told the unit is too small, or the listing just disappears. This is where things start to shift, because it's not just about space anymore. It's about perception. Oh, big families make too much noise. Oh, they will write on the wall. There will be too much wear and tear by the time they are leaving. All these assumptions before they even set eyes on you or your family. Now, to be fair, landlords in the UK and US also ask for credit checks, references, and proof of income. But here's where Canada feels different, especially if you are new. The rules are not the same across provinces. Some places don't limit how much rent can increase once a lease ends. When your family is considered too big, the landlord simply moves on. No explanation, no consequence. In cities like Toronto and Vancouver, some listings get hundreds of applications. Once they see just landed or no local job, they are not even calling you back. Even with an offer letter or money saved, newcomers are asked to pay 3 to 6 months rent upfront just to be considered. If you're facing this, it's not because you're unqualified, you're just unfamiliar. And yes, people will say do your research before you come. But no amount of research prepares you for the silence after your 10th application. Research doesn't tell you how it feels to be turned away just because of your kids, or your name or accent. So you settle. A shared basement, no sunlight, no privacy. Not what you pictured, but at least it's something. Some newcomers arrive with no housing lined up. Others book short-term Airbnb thinking they will find something long-term in a week or 2. That's usually the plan. But the plan doesn't always work. If you are lucky, if it's taking too long to find a place, your Airbnb will be extended, or else you might have to look for another Airbnb. You're just stuck, not in, not settled. When you find a place that looks promising, you quickly reach out, but before you know it, it's gone. Or they want references, credit checks, a job letter, and you're still waiting for your first paycheck. So you're not being turned away like before, but you're also not getting picked. That limbo is a different kind of stress on its own. So what do? You do what many people do. You apply for whatever is left, even without seeing it. It can't be that bad. This is Canada, so all the homes are good, Abby. And maybe you think it's overpriced, but you try to talk yourself into it. The children need to settle. You are burning through your savings, and you can't stay in a temporary life forever. And through all of this, you are spending money on temporary stays, time scrolling listings and pursuing leads, energy stressing over every story is already taken. And sometimes you even pay a deposit for a home you haven't seen, because you're afraid that if you wait too long, somebody else will come and take it. It's not just expensive, it's exhausting. And that's not settling into a new country, it's surviving it. Some people say if rent is too high, just go to the UK or US. But here's the truth. Housing is hard everywhere. What makes Canada different is how it hits newcomers. In the UK, rent in places like East London isn't exactly cheap. And the schools, the so-called good schools, are still in areas that feel out of reach. High income, not diverse, and very competitive. It's not easy to just move there, even if the rent is slightly lower. And in the US, you might find cheaper rent in certain states. But schools are tied to where you live. Unless you qualify for a program or can afford a private school, your zip code shapes your child's future. Now here's what happens in Canada. You finally find a home. Then you realize the school nearby isn't that great. The good schools are in better neighborhoods. And better neighborhoods are expensive. So once again, if you're a newcomer with kids, you are left trying to choose between space, safety, and education. Private schools, yes, they exist in Canada. But unless you are earning 6 figures or more, no go there. It's not an option, especially when rent is already consuming a huge part of your budget. So why Canada isn't alone in this? The pressure adds up. You're paying more but still don't feel like you're getting ahead. You've moved to a new country but it seems you're still held in place. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not imagining it. You're not being dramatic or ungrateful. You're just new and the system doesn't really make room right away. A system where rent is high and school zones feel like gatekeepers. And your best isn't always good enough, at least not right away. And here is something most people don't see loud enough. If you're still planning to move, don't just follow the crowd and move to popular cities. Toronto and Vancouver are two of the most expensive cities in the world. Even more expensive than LA in some rankings. That doesn't mean don't come. It means think carefully. Unless you're coming to a high-paying job in Toronto or Vancouver. If you have family or trusted friends in another city, start there. Having community nearby can make a huge difference. Financially, emotionally, and even mentally. And if you're already here struggling, you're not alone. Some people are finding a way, not easily, not quickly, but slowly, with help. They find landlords who understand. Churches that connect them to renters. If you're in that stage where it feels like nothing is working, don't disappear, don't give up. Talk to people, ask questions, and take the wins, no matter how small. Because surviving is the first step to thriving. And it counts too. Thank you for watching. If you like what we are doing here, hit subscribe. Let's build a community of empowered Nigerians at home and abroad. Bye.